I first met John 25 years ago when he served together with the legendary Secretary of State, George Shultz. What a power couple, huh? George Shultz and John Whitehead. And I learned a lot from you through my visits to you in Washington, D.C. And our friendship deepened, of course, when you later became the chair of UNA USA and was a champion of always standing up for international cooperation and the United Nations. Not uncritically, but you were always there, steady. And I think we need people like you, people who in difficult times still come to the conclusion that in order to deal with today's problems properly, we need to work together. We need to work across borders. And it is particularly important for a large country like the United States that one comes to that conclusion that, yes, we are proud of our own nation, we have our own capacity, but in the end, we also depend on the world. And I would say that the ideal would be, in the end, that we would come to the conclusion that international solutions are in the national interest. If we can come to that conclusion, then we take away the artificial borderline between national and international. And you can say, like a friend of mine said, I love my country, that's why I am an internationalist. So here I think we have John Whitehead as a symbol of a person who has, through the years, always stood up for cooperation across borders and certainly have helped Secretaries General like Kofi Annan and Ban Ki-moon here today. And with that spirit in this room that I feel, I think we have a good chance to also have a good future together here in New York, but also with this great country, United States. But I wouldn't want just to say something that could be taken from your CV, John. I went to one of your several 90-year birthday celebrations, and the person who was most alive and vital was, of course, you, John. But I then also felt that wonderful sympathy and sense of friendship that my friends have to you. You are a modest person. You are a good listener. You don't take front stage on your own initiative, but you also exude always natural authority. And the warmth that I felt in that room reminded me of a saying that I think is important to remember, particularly for us who have lived our world in diplomacy. It's not the hands you shake, it's the hearts you touch. And you, John, you have certainly shaken a lot of hands, but you have equally many hearts that you have touched. So I'm very proud to introduce to you today's first honoree, John C. Whitehead.
By chance, I happen to be chair of the UNA Gala Dinner at which Ted made his spectacular announcement 12 years ago of his billion-dollar gift. As I remember the situation, the immediate audience reaction at first was polite applause. None of them thought that anybody could be giving $1 billion, 1,000 times $1 million, so they all thought it was $1 million. And then somebody said, didn't he say $1 billion? And Ted was forced to come back and say, yes, I said $1 billion. And the reaction was then a standing ovation and prolonged applause. I think that never before or since has any individual made that large a gift to a single organization. Ted, congratulations again. And the applause was well-deserved to me. The UN is the most important not-for-profit organization in the world and deserves the support of every world citizen. One of my proudest accomplishments as Deputy Secretary of State was to persuade President Reagan, with the considerable behind-the-scenes help of his wife, Nancy, that unless he wanted to go down in history as the man who put the UN into bankruptcy, we had to pay up on our back dues. And a few weeks later, I flew up to New York from Washington on the shuttle with a check for $65 million in my pocket and presented it to the then Secretary General Perez de Cuellar as a down payment on our arrears. As many have said about the UN, if we didn't have it, we'd have to quickly build something else quite like it.